Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome into a little bit of a surprise show for you guys this evening. I'm thrilled to be joined by Brandon Johnson, the closer from Ole Miss baseball for this last few years, and now drafted as one of the newest members of the Kansas City Royals ball club. Brandon, first of all, congratulations on getting drafted, and thanks so much for taking some time out of your evening, especially with all the whirlwind, to talk to me for a few minutes.
I really do appreciate your time. Let me come on here. Always love talking about Ole Miss baseball, so I really do appreciate it.
Well, man, it's been an absolute pleasure to watch you over the past several seasons and how you've grown and then really embraced that closer role and just been absolutely electric out of the bullpen. So first of all, before we get too much into the drafted side of things, kind of talk about your experience at Ole Miss, kind of your journey through your time at Ole Miss, and then leading up to, of course, a phenomenal season for the national championship.
Yeah, so I got on campus. It was the summer of 2020, so it had been the COVID summer. I got here, and Oxford was a different town than what I learned and loved. There wasn't too many people here. It was COVID times. A lot of business weren't able to open up. We weren't able to go to the classrooms. But then once the COVID stuff kind of got pushed off to the side, and we were able to experience Oxford, it was a dream come true. Everybody says it's the most beautiful place in the country, with the best fans. The scenery there, the school, it was amazing. It opened up your eyes and it lets you really know how much home you can see in a town like Oxford. But the baseball side of things, it was great. First year there, had a little up and down season, but then came back this past year, was blessed enough to be in the closer role, as you can call it. We turned it into just another reliever role. Obviously, it's in sometimes a little more stressful situations, but it's the same job as anybody else. Ultimately, coming through with the national championship. So that itself as an experience, you'll never be able to trade it in. Not too many people can say they were a part of a team like that, and I'm glad to be a part of possibly the best story to ever have college baseball.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously the best team in the history of Ole Miss baseball to this point, and you guys were blessed enough to be the first national championship team. Now, obviously, a lot of the focus coming into the season was the offense, of course, returning a lot of those starters that got to Arizona last year and came up just a game short out there. But from a pitching perspective, and particularly early this season, the rotation was a little bit of up in the air with the starters. Obviously, Derek was kind of cemented in there to start the beginning of the season, but Dylan and Hunter weren't really in the picture there for a little while. And then you have been a key role in that bullpen for the past several years. But as you mentioned, really growing into that closer role, is whatever you want to call it. From a pitching perspective, a pitcher's perspective, what is it like when your guys are trying to figure out that rotation this season? And kind of how do you guys encourage each other when everything's kind of trying to be figured out as the season goes along?
It was a very weird season. You didn't have last season, I guess 2 seasons ago, when you had Doug Nikhazy and Gunnar Hoagland and Derek Diamond. I mean, you had two first rounders. And then you had Derek Diamond, who was electric in his All-American season his first year. So then you come into this year, and there is a lot of question marks, and then you have those struggles. And you could say it came at a bad time. It was a great time for us, however, but it was in the early SEC times where you didn't know if you even had one SEC true starter. So then you see them to emerge like they did, Hunter Elliott and Dylan DeLucia, and submit themselves as Ole Miss legends. It was really fun to watch on the backside of things, because I was never really – I don't want to say I was never up for the starting role, but I knew that was never going to be my position to pitch for us to be the most successful. So when they took that role and they ran with it, it was very fun to watch. And then from a reliever standpoint, we told each other in the bullpen, we came together one time and we just said, look, whoever runs out there, it has all the faith in the world. Every one of us is behind you. Don't worry about what the fans are saying, what Twitter's saying. Coach B's putting you out there for a reason. That's what he always preaches to us behind the scenes. He always says, I wouldn't pitch you if I didn't believe in you. So we really ran with that as a team motto, as a bullpen motto. And I believe that's what a lot of our success came from.
Well, and you guys did so well at sticking through the tough times. Obviously, a lot of the talk early was that Tennessee series. They were just a juggernaut. They beat up on every pitching staff they faced in the regular season. So you couldn't really take too much away from that just because that's what they were expected to do. And then it kind of was a struggle there for a few weeks after that. But then all of a sudden, it just clicked there. Particularly, you go to that Missouri series, you sweep them. You go to LSU and win a series for the first time sweeping them for the first time ever in Baton Rouge. And really everything started to really come together, particularly with you guys in the pitching staff. The offense did work as well, but you can't win games without good pitching, especially in this day and age of baseball, especially with the amount of home runs that were being hit this year. So the way that you guys came together was really awesome to watch. And then going into the SEC tournament, kind of what was the feeling for you as a senior? We talked to a lot of the offensive guys. Obviously, those kind of were that's how everything worked with the media all season long. That's just kind of how it goes. But as a senior for you in particular, after that disappointing 2020 season where COVID shut the season down early and you guys were on a tear that year, and then 2021 coming up a game short and running into the buzzsaw that was Arizona that year. After that SEC tournament game against Vanderbilt where things just didn't go your way and it was kind of up in the air, what was going through your mind after that game?
When you lose Vanderbilt, because you went into the game and you knew you were probably, by the pedigree, by our resume, the RPI, everything we'll look at, historically we were in. But then you go into the Vanderbilt game and you tell yourself, all right, we're 80% in, but if you win this game, you're 100%. No, not one person would ever leave you out if you win this game. So then you lose a very close one, a very, very good classic SEC tournament game, and you go back home early, and you sit there trying to go to sleep that night, and you tell yourself, that's when the doubt starts leaking in. Did we do enough this year? It's out of our hands, and you never want to get to that point. You never want to get to the point where you have to start telling yourself, we can't do anything else. We had to hope for things to happen and for people to think that we were good enough. So that entire week, we were going to practice, but it was hard because you look at the guys like Tim Elko, like Kevin Graham. They came back for one reason and one reason only, and it was to win the national title. And you sit there at practice and you're watching them, you're saying, is this it? Like, do they even get their chance to make their run? And do we get a chance as a team to submit our place where we thought we should be? It was very hard because you just didn't know if that was the last time you were going to be around that group of guys.
Well, you guys obviously got your chance. And as Tim said, don't let the Rebs get hot. Well, all you needed was a chance to get in. You start off the season against Miami, who was the number 6 national seed, or start off the postseason, I should say, against Miami, who was the number 6 national seed, who was expected to win that regional by all the national media. I think Aaron Fitt was the only person that picked Ole Miss to win out of the national media in that series. And you guys go down there, and not only do you win it, you sweep it to get into a super regional and go down there and do that. That confidence boost to winning the regional and going into Hattiesburg. When was it that you guys really felt like this is a special team and all we needed was to get in here? And I mean, I know you guys had the confidence all year you could win the whole thing, obviously, but kind of when did it click for y'all that, you know what, we've got what it takes and we're not really scared of anyone at this point?
You know, you can say it actually started because people forget the end of the year. Obviously, they know how hot we were. But people forget we won our last 9 of 11 games, 9 of 12 games. Mm-hmm. So we had all the feel in the world going into the Miami series that if we played our best ball, we could beat anybody in the country. So then we go down there and you win the close one against Arizona. Then you win even an emotional game, a close game against Miami. Then it starts setting in like, okay, you're 1 game away from a regional and you're 3 games away from Omaha. So then you go win the Arizona game. And then the countdown begins. You know, you win. You have a series against Southern Miss, who had all the talent in the world, nothing but respect for their team. They had a heck of a team this year. But you can tell in our eyes, in our dugout, that we weren't satisfied just making it to the super regional. We saw the heartbreak last year, being 1 game short. So we went in there thinking we're trying to win a national championship. This road doesn't end here. Breaking all the noise, not even supposed to be in the tournament or anything like that. But we knew it was just another challenge for us to get past so we can get to our ultimate goal, which was the national championship. And I think the best thing about the team was you can say we adopted the motto, however you want to say it. We weren't going to be denied of the final glory.
Well, and then you guys go to Hattiesburg, and all the talk in Hattiesburg, again, was not about Ole Miss's pitching staff, who had been electric over that last stretch of games. And nobody was talking about you guys. It was all talk about Tanner Hall and Hurston Waldrop, who are great pitchers. There's definitely no doubt about that. But you guys go in there, and not only do you win the Super Regional, you don't even allow a run in the Super Regional. Now, you didn't get to pitch there for a little while. Your last game to pitch into Omaha was that Miami game. And then you went on a streak there where a little over a week where you did not see the pitcher's mound, but you're a leader in that pitching staff. Talk about Josh Mallitz from a leader point of view real quick, what you saw from him and kind of how you helped him step into that role a couple times that you were used to filling.
He was awesome. He was electric. We mess with him all the time because he has this persona about him about being Josh Mallitz. But he was, I would argue, and I was go on the grave today saying he was the best pitcher, or he had the best pitch in college baseball through the entire stretch of the playoffs, or even the end of the season. From I guess it was the LSU series when he really started stepping into some big key moments. He had the best pitch in college baseball at the time, and it showed. Every time he ran out there, you knew in the dugout, like, oh, here comes a quick, easy 3 outs. Most of the time by 3 strikeouts. You can see the confidence just oozing out of his body, which a lot of times as a pitcher, you need it, and he had it. So being able to watch him, just because he had a very disappointing beginning of the season, because he did have mono, so he had to miss the first month. People forget about that. That's why he didn't get to throw at the beginning part of the season. So when we were able to finally utilize him to his fullest potential, it was awesome because it was awesome to watch because he was electric.
Yeah, he was, and obviously a crucial part of that super regional. Well, then you guys made it to Omaha, but as Peyton Chatinier said a couple of times, our goal wasn't just to get to Omaha. Obviously, no team's goal was just to get there once they're there. But you guys, I talked about it several times with another guy from the Rebel Walk, Chris, and then a few of the other media, is just you guys had an air about you this postseason that was just a little different. You obviously are a fun-loving team. You guys have a lot of fun together. The TikTok stuff was great. You guys all have a lot of fun together, but there was just something different about this team where you talked about having fun, but the job's not done. Like Kobe Bryant said all those years ago in the playoffs, job's not finished. And that was your error about this team. You get to Omaha, you win the first 2 games. All of a sudden, you're in that 2-0 slot. That's exactly where you want to be. Now you've got to lose twice by whoever plays you just to get knocked out, and that's hard to do. It's hard to beat the same team twice in a row. And then, of course, you had the one hiccup there against Arkansas, but then you bounce right back, got to play them again, and come out there and just put it on them, and you move on to the championship series. You finally got a chance to get back in there and pitch there. You fell off the mound there. There was a 2-run homer there at the end. It was kind of garbage time, so to speak. But just kind of talk about for you, does it do anything to you not pitching for a little while, or is it kind of like you don't forget how to pitch, obviously? So what's it like having to wait all that time and then coming in those kind of situations?
I would say you lose your sharpness. You kind of lose your edge about you because when you're throwing every week on a routine schedule, or you're throwing twice in a weekend, you know your feel, you know how the ball's going to come out your hand, and you can't replicate game reps. Rather, it is a 10-run game or a 1-run game in the 9th. You can't replicate that adrenaline in a bullpen or even in a live outing against one of your teammates in an inter squad. So when you don't pitch for a while, I don't want to say you lose too much of your edge because, like you said, you don't forget how to pitch. You don't forget how to throw a fastball. But you do lose a little feel. And you don't forget how the game feels, but it kind of catches up to you a little bit. But in a situation like that, you just kind of just want to fill up the zone, which we tried to do. Guy got a really good swing off the fastball. You can't be too mad about that just because it is still – you're in a World Series game, you're winning. So you got to get past that pretty quickly. So not being able to pitch for a while, you can say you lose a little sharpness, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't affect you too much.
Well, you bounced right back. And obviously, of course, you made the most important pitch of the whole time there. That last pitch against Oklahoma, talk about you get to that count. You're 1 strike away. First of all, nobody pumps me up like you on the mound. I'm just going to – the emotions that you show after a big win and the way that you hype Hayden up afterward and just – it's awesome to see. You out there just really – it shows how invested you are and how much you care about the team. But what was that moment before you threw that pitch like on that to be 1 strike away? Yeah. And then, of course, all the emotion afterwards, just the roar that you let out. I don't know if you know this or not about Omaha, but they have the press box mic'd up, so to speak, so we can hear. It's not as loud as being out there, but we can hear the pitcher's mound. And it was very like obvious that it was awesome. So just
Yeah.
kind of talk about before that pitch, what you were thinking, and then the emotions, of course, of after that pitch.
People seem to forget sometimes in the last pitch. It was actually another 1-2 count right before that. It was a foul ball, fastball right off of Hayden's face mask. So he falls down for a second, but being the guy he is, he's going to bounce right back and be there. So you knew he was going to be. But it kind of gave me a second to breathe and really take in the moment of, hey, you're one strike away. Now, you couldn't let your emotions or your mind go too far that way. But I was able to walk back from the home plate to the mound, and you look in the outfield, and then you look across third base, and you look over to Tim Elko and over first base, and there's just nothing but a sea of powder blue, and everybody's on their feet, and it kind of starts setting in a little bit. And then you throw the last pitch, and you see the swing. You see it about halfway through, and then I forget everything from that moment till about 20 minutes after. I didn't have no memory of recollection of how it happened or anything that happened until we were back on the podium receiving our trophies. I had to go back and watch videos to know what I did or what the team even did to see the dog pile. Now, next morning I woke up and I did feel a lot of pain, realizing I was on the bottom of the dog. At the moment, it wasn't too bad, but you wake up the next morning and your knee's a little more sore than what you can remember.
Yeah, being on the bottom of that pile, I feel like it's probably not the most fun place to be afterwards the next day. In that moment, the adrenaline, you don't even realize it, like you said, but I can imagine you were a little sore the next day. But it was all worth it, I imagine, to be that team that won the national championship.
Oh, for sure. It was every bit worth it. I mean, you dream at it as a little kid ever since you step foot on a T-ball field. You start watching the College World Series and you see the atmosphere. And then when you become a PO or you know you're headed towards the PO, you have to forget about the walk-off home run that you think of when you were 7 years old. So then you start thinking, oh, now I want to strike out the last guy. I want to be that guy that strikes it. So being able to be that guy and be at the bottom of the dog pile, it's an all-time moment.
Well, I can't. I've been a lifelong Ole Miss fan, but then working in the media is obviously a little different. Being there as a part of the team, you don't get to experience it in exactly the same way. But still, it's awesome to watch you guys who all came back, or the ones that had a chance to leave that came back, and the rest of the seniors in particular that have been through so much adversity. And real quick before we move on, because we're going to talk about you getting drafted, yes. That's the biggest thing. Talk about playing for Mike, because Mike he gets so much criticism, and it drives me nuts.
Yes.
The social media fans in particular that think they could get out there and throw a fastball like you do, or hit a fastball. But that aside, the job he did through the adversity he has faced, and just the relief you could see all over him, for one thing. But talk about playing for him and just what he means to you guys as his players.
He is the best coach he can possibly play for, and it's because you know how much he puts into the game and how much passion and love he has for the game, which is a big deal to me. And obviously how I pitch and stuff, but how much time and the effort and sacrifices he makes for each and every one of us. It's amazing. Like I said, I committed during the COVID time. So I actually never got to visit Ole Miss, never got to visit the campus. And it was straight off of Coach B's word and Coach Last's word. And you can hear it even from then and from the beginning. Like, he believed in you, and that's what he wants to ooze through each and every one of us, especially the pitchers. So playing for him, you'll do anything he possibly can ask for. He tells you to run through a brick wall, you run through a brick wall. He tells you to jump, and you always ask how high. He's the best man you can possibly play for, because he cares so much for you, not even so much on your own field of success, but for off the field. He strives to be not so much as a friend, but he strives to get the best out of you. And that's all you can ask for as a coach. That's why I think he's the best coach in the country.
Well, that's awesome. And I really appreciate just the culture of men that he brings up at Ole Miss. You can see it, just how you guys are, the respect that you show him and the respect that you show each other is unmatched. And I really appreciate that about Mike and about you guys as players. Well, obviously the most exciting news of the week, now that the national championship is over, of course, then you had to focus on the draft. Now, obviously, we all knew that you were going pro, that you were hoping to get drafted. Did you have an idea before the draft of where you might go, when you might go? Had anybody kind of told you that, or were you kind of just in a ballpark but weren't really sure? How was that working for you?
You would say you're in a ballpark. The best part about the draft is always, people hate saying it, especially on the other side of things. It's a cat and mouse game. You don't want to say, your bottom line or where you'll go before you go back, and they don't want to tell you, hey, we'll give you this, or you'll go in this round, and then you go, oh yeah, heck yeah, that's a lot better than what I thought. For me, being a fifth-year guy, even though I had the availability to come back, I kind of knew in the ballpark where I was going to go, where I was going to fall. Going into it, you're nervous, but it's like good nerves because you really don't know what's going to happen. And then it all starts to unfold. Then the phone calls start happening during the draft, and it also gets so real quick. Everybody's asking this, and this, and you just start saying yes, yes, yes. Then you finally get the call, and it's just a dream come true.
Well, and you kind of answered one of the questions I was going to ask you a little bit, because obviously I know that's a really touchy subject with, am I going to come back to school? Is there a place where I would come back to school? And I know that you guys are all focused on going pro, and that's what we all want for you. And I am so happy for all of you that got drafted this week. So I guess, it sounds to me like you knew what you were going. What would there have been a point at all where you might have considered coming back, or did you just where I know I want to continue with my future. I'm going to end on a high note of winning the national championship, and regardless of where I fall, I'm going to take my chances with where they take me. Was that kind of your mindset, or did you have a different mindset?
No, absolutely not. Because Ole Miss is so special to you, and it's a home away from home. That's what we always call it. Everybody that got drafted, everybody that's going to go, or everybody that didn't go, they know that Ole Miss is the best place to play, or at least in my mind that you want to play. So there was a definite point where I had to weigh what opportunity was better, coming back and trying to get higher next year, or playing for another year under Coach B, or going now. There's always a limit if you have that availability to go back to Ole Miss, that you have to start weighing which opportunities can be best for you. You kind of go into it as a pre-draft model of where it's going to be. Obviously, when you get into the draft, it gets a little more real, and that model might change a little bit. But for the most part, you have an idea of when their opportunity is, which one's going to be better. But no, I did not go into the draft thinking, oh, I'm going out no matter what.
Well, obviously, you mentioned the phone calls. I can't imagine, because I'll never get drafted to play Major League Baseball. So I don't know what that feeling is like. But how many teams did you hear from? Do you remember? Was it just a couple? Did you hear from a bunch of teams? Kind of how many did you talk to, if you have any idea?
I would say during the actual draft, the phone calls, it might have been 6, 7, 8 teams that actually make the phone call with you to see if you'll take this and what round. Where's your mind at during the draft, how you're feeling. So there was about probably 6 to 8 teams that would call you during it.
Well, what was the moment like when Kansas City called you and said, hey, you're our guy, get ready because your name's about to be called? Just go through that moment for us.
I knew my time was coming up because, like I said, 6, 8 teams called. Well, probably 6 of them called within a minute. I knew the 9th round was about to be where I was going to fall. A lot of teams were saying, hey, next pick, you're our guy. I was actually away from my family because they were in the living room. They're all excited, but I can't look at their faces. So I'm in another room. I'm answering these phone calls. And then the phone call comes and you answer it. And the first word they say is congratulations. And of course you go, are you for real? And then they go, yeah, we're being for real. Yeah, you're it. You're our next guy. And then they tell you that you're their guy, that they're proud of you, that they're ready to get you into the organization, get you where you're going. So then you walk back into the living room, and then you hear it across the TV, and the place just erupts, and it's an amazing feeling.
Well, and on top of that, you get to go and play with Hayden again, who also got drafted by Kansas City. What does that mean to you to be reunited with him in the same organization in pro ball?
He's the best catcher in the draft. He's the best catcher in the country in college. So being able to have a familiar face, because you hear how you don't want to say lonely the minor league teams are, because you can meet some good friends and long life relationships, but it's an unfamiliar circumstance. You've never been. You don't really know what to expect. You try to talk to old pro guys from last year or the years before, but they can't really tell you how your experience is going to be. So being able to go in there with a familiar face, or with your battery buddy who's been in some very tough situations through the year, being to have somebody to trust and to go to and go through it with him it's an unreal feeling.
Have you guys had a chance to talk? Did y'all call each other that night? Kind of how did that go when y'all both got drafted by the same team?
He was one of the first guys that texted me. I'm going to keep messing with him because I think he knew before I knew. But he was one of the first ones to text me, and he said, "How about we run this thing back?" And of course, we called each other last night. We compared our notes and compared what they told us to see if everything was real, and it was. But the conversation was they're not ready for us, but it wasn't even so much on the field. Hayden is a big Mafia game player on the bus. He loves his off the field antics. So he was so excited knowing that somebody there is going to play it with him.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that's got to be just an amazing feeling to be reunited with your teammate and, like you said, have that journey together through the minors. Because minor league baseball, it's a grind. I mean, there's no, it's not a secret that minor league baseball is a grind. And you guys are it's not like you're going to just jump right into the big leagues. Nobody really does. Have you guys had a chance? Well, you in particular, because I'm talking to you. But have you had a chance to really talk with the organization yet, since it all just happened yesterday, or is it kind of like they're going to get back with you after the draft officially ended today? They had a few more picks to make. How is that going to work, or have they had a chance to talk to you about it yet?
Well, actually, for me, the area scout lives in Hoover, Alabama, and obviously I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's probably a 35-minute drive. So we actually met up yesterday, and I signed my contract, and then he let me know that I'm flying out Thursday night, early Friday morning, headed out to Arizona. So for me, compared to other guys, it's going to be a lot quicker because I am a fifth-year senior compared to some of them first-round guys. But for me, it happened really quick. They let me know. Now I have my itinerary already set. My plane tickets can send over soon. So for me, it happened all really quickly.
Well, and Brandon, now I have to be honest with you. I'm a lifelong St. Louis Cardinals fan, who, of course, is a rival to the Royals. But I will be cheering for you. Don't worry, you and Hayden both. I'll have to go for the Royals when they're not playing my Cardinals.
For sure.
No, but in all seriousness, man, I cannot say enough how happy I am for you, for all the guys. I mean, just a great class from Ole Miss, all getting drafted. Everybody, Justin got drafted today, and I was so happy for him. Kevin got drafted today, and of course, Tim went right one round behind you, going to Chicago. So you guys are going all over the place. You're going to be able to play for a lot of different organizations, but hopefully you guys will get a chance to really hang out, so to speak, and maybe play against each other in the minors and get to have that fellowship again. But it's just a surreal feeling for you, I'm sure. And I know it's been probably a chaotic couple of days, but I know you're excited about it, and it's been well worth it. And this is what you dreamed about, man. And I hope that I hope to see you playing for the big league club sooner than later, because I know it can be a grind, but don't lose sight of that focus, man. You've had that focus. You can see that focus, man. And I know you're going to have it getting into the minor leagues for sure.
I really do appreciate it. And we've already contacted each other. We'll be back in Oxford working on the off season. So we know we'll see each other soon. We wish each other best of luck. But at the same time, when you see them in the box, that there's only one thing that can happen is them get sent back to the dugout rather than somebody hitting over the fence on you. So it's a lot of good banter. It's pretty fun.
So you don't want to give up a home run to Tim Elko?
Absolutely not. That's the last guy I want to give one to.
Oh, he'd probably never let you live it down. I could probably imagine.
He absolutely wouldn't.
Well, any last plans before you get started with work here in a couple of days? Are you going to try to spend some time with family and just kind of take it easy, or do you have work to do already?
Well, I mean, obviously I'm going to keep throwing and working out because we'll go and we'll play very soon. They'll put us right into the mix of things. But yeah, I'm going to spend as much time with my family just because I realized that when I went home this weekend, it's the first time I've been home since Christmas. Just because we were on the road for Easter. So this was the first time that we were home in about 7 months, just because we did make it all the way. And it's a bittersweet thing because that's what you want to do. You want to play as late as you can, and we did. But you miss seeing your family. You miss home. You miss the smells. You miss the home cooking. So I'm going to spend as much time as I possibly can with them because family does mean a lot to me. But they know that the road is just beginning. So it's exciting.
Well, Brandon, it's awesome to see the support staff that you've had. I know at least a few of them were there in Omaha based on the pictures I've seen from you. So on that note, I'm not going to take up any more of your time because I know you want to spend as much of it with the people that mean a lot to you. But I really appreciate you taking some time out of your evening to talk to me, man. It really means a lot. And congratulations again. I wish you the best of luck.
Yes, sir. I really do appreciate your time. I mean, y'all share our story. So I have nothing but all the respect for y'all. So I thank you. Thank you for your time, for having me on the show.
Well, that means a lot, man. We appreciate it, and we look forward to continuing to tell your story as you go throughout your journey in the pros. And he is Brandon Johnson. He is the closer from Ole Miss, and now one of the newest members of the Kansas City Royals organization, along with catcher Hayden Dunhurst. Brandon, thanks so much, and have a great rest of your night, man, and safe travels out to Arizona.
Yes, thank you.
And that is Brandon Johnson. Cannot say enough, and I'm going to change my screen right quick for you guys. Cannot say enough what it means to have him jump on the show here and spend a little time with me. The rest of the draft for Ole Miss, of course, as you all know, as I mentioned, Justin Bench got drafted today. He went to San Francisco as the final pick in round number 17. And Kevin Graham also got drafted today in the 14th round. And he is headed to, and let me just make sure I get these right. I don't want to give the wrong teams for the wrong players. Arizona Diamondbacks is where Kevin went. Justin went to San Francisco. And then, of course, we did have one recruit get drafted today as well, Grayson Saunier. He was drafted in the 19th round. I do expect to see him in Oxford instead of going pro. So we should have at least him. After Ferris and Anthony were drafted, we should have Grayson in Oxford. Thanks again to Brandon Johnson. Thank all of you for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed getting to listen to Brandon. I really appreciate him spending some time with me this evening, as he did not have to do that. And he's got a lot of exciting things to talk about with his family and a lot of exciting things coming up in the next step of his journey. So I could not be more thrilled to have talked with him. And of course, as you guys saw on the screen, it would not have been possible without our good friend Lee McPherson of the Lee McPherson team in Remax of Orange Beach. We are very thankful to have her as a sponsor for all of these shows, from our Media Days show and out this show tonight. LeeMcPherson.com. Check her out for not only all of your real estate needs in the Orange Beach area, but you can be anywhere in the world. Remax can help you with their Remax International Network, and Lee would be happy to help you with all of those needs. Check her out again at LeeMcPherson.com and at Lee at the Beach on Twitter. She's a big supporter of Ole Miss athletics. She's a big supporter of the Rebel Walk, and we genuinely appreciate her jumping on board with us. Until next time, stay tuned. We will have a full post-draft show coming up for you at some point with me and Chris Muller. So stay tuned for that. We will announce that time and a later date. So be looking for that over at the Rebel Walk on all of our social media channels. Thanks one more time to Brandon Johnson, the electric closer from Ole Miss, who spent some time with me this evening. I really appreciate his time, and I really appreciate all of you. Until next time, howdy toddy, everybody, and have a great night. Enjoy the All-Star game going on in Los Angeles here in just a little bit, and we will talk to you later.